Shit. Yo, what's up, everybody? Kova here, back again with another live stream. Sorry I'm a bit late. I had some just family stuff to do with the kids and try to get them all ready for bed. Had a long day. Um, so give me 1 second. I'm gonna drop some of these links off. Have some of these people. Sorry, I'm trying to adjust my camera just a bit. Um, yeah. So let me drop off some of these links. Do some promo really quick, and then we'll get into the live stream. Bum, 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 bum. So, 1 second. Strip them off at some of these spaces really quick. And then I'm gonna get into it. I got a big stack of comics I'm gonna talk about and look at. Pretty much like my favorite comics of the year, essentially. And I'll talk more about that here in a second. But I've read so many comics this year. That like I didn't pick between like it just took me a long I'll explain something more second about to be done last all right, cool. All right. All right, sorry about that. So yeah, as you guys can see the title of the stream, we're gonna be talking about some of my favorite top comics of the years. I'm gonna start the stream off with showing off some of the comics that I've pulled out of some of my favorite books that I've read this year. And then I have a couple pieces that I'm gonna ink on live, and then talk about kind of how I was able to draw 150 pages for this year. In about 7 months, I was able to knock out 150 pages of comic book pages for my series AWOL, which you guys, you probably don't know, but I just what the heck sorry. Yeah, so I just posted and activated the pre-launch page for the AWOT trade that's going to be coming out. I'm going to be launching the Kickstarter in January. So if you guys, want to go and hit that notification button so you're there for when it launches. I got a couple of dope artists who are going to be doing some variant covers. I'm going to have some, a bunch of great add-ons. And I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do for stretch goals, whether or not I want to do like stickers or posters or, maybe another book I can add on to put into print. Still trying to figure that out. But yeah, so go hit the link. I'm going to drop the link off here in the chat for you guys to go sign up for that pre-launch page. So yeah, this is going to be for AWOL, the full first story arc. So it's about 150, probably be a little bit more, like probably 150 pages of actual comic pages, and I'll probably put a bunch of like back matter in there. I got like a lot of pinups and fan art and stuff like that. So I'll probably add that at the end and maybe some other stuff. Who knows? We'll see. But yeah, so click that pre-launch page. The link is in the chat right now, guys. And so yeah, this is the cover that I drew for the trade. Colors by Tevo. He snapped on it. Here's some of the other covers that I had for the series. So far, the first 3 covers. I finished the 4th cover. I just need to color it. But yeah, so go sign up for that. And yeah, so let's get into some of my top comics from 2025. So I'm not going to include. So I'm going to give, first of all, a special what's the word? I'm going to give like respect towards due to certain things and comics that came out this year. Like the Absolute Universe from DC, hands down, one of the best things that came out this year. I love Absolute Batman and Absolute Wonder Woman. Those are some of my favorite, and Absolute Martian Manhunter as well, are some of my favorite books that came out this year. But they weren't like my favorite series. I think Martian Manhunter definitely was up there. Um, Absolute Batman, I think I really loved the hype more than I cared for like some of the stories that was being told in the in some of the comics. The Absolute Batman annual specifically is probably like the best out of the whole entire run, in my opinion. Specifically the Daniel Warren Johnson story. I did a whole video on it on my main channel, but I'm just gonna give like I don't know what I'm trying to say, but like just give like a special shout out to them for what they do. But they're not in like my favorite comics. Like the comics that I've picked for this year, like the books that I've picked up and read, like instantly, like I picked up, I read it, and then I was like, oh, like I can't put this down. I'm going to continue to read it. I'm kind of divvying it up between like mainstream comics, and for this pile that I have, so I don't really have a lot. I don't really read a lot of Marvel or DC stuff. My mainstream is technically going to be like smaller press books. So like Image, which isn't a small press, but like Image. I have some Bad Idea, Fantagraphics. I got one Marvel book in here. What else I got in here? Yeah, like Fantagraphics. Yeah, and I think that's kind of it. This one, what is this one? Norton. I don't know what that is, but so I'm gonna look at these mainstream books, and then I'll move on to some manga that I've picked up and read this year. Again, a lot of them, my favorite mangas weren't mainstream. Some of them are from like Shishui and Kodansha and stuff like that, but I don't have any like Shonen Jump or like anything like that. And then I'm gonna move on after that to a pile of like indie books, so like people who are like me, who are just going to shows and giving out comics and doing everything pretty much independently for the most part, writing, drawing, or collaborating with people doing Kickstarters and stuff like that. I call them grassroots books, uh, because a lot of times people use like Image as independent, which it kind of teeters depending on who's writing the book. Like, but that's just semantics. So, first book that I'm gonna shout out and show appreciation to is this book right here, Cul-de-sac by Mike Carey and Jonathan Weishak. I picked this book up because of Jonathan Weishak. I don't know if you guys have read this book. It's essentially about like vampires and these kids whose parents were pretty much killed in the first issue, and then they are being hunted down, and they are not vampires. They are these new versions of vampires called like nocturnals or nocturnes. I'm not sure I have the terminology right, but essentially they are stronger than vampires. They are the predators of the vampires. So like their parents were all killed, but the kids are still alive, and they're pretty much essentially in these first couple issues are trying to run away and get to this like manor that should be a place that the main two girls' mom told them to go to if something ever happened to them. And yeah, so I mean, Jonathan Weishak, he kind of reminds me of like a new age Sam Keith. He does a lot on the page with this comic. Just anything like watercolor, crayons. It seems like color pencil. Like he goes from like cartoony to surreal. I'm like, look at this panel right here. That is amazing. And yeah, I didn't really know too much about Jonathan Weishak. I kind of seen him online a little bit. I followed him on Instagram. And he's just a phenomenal artist. Like he'll have like panels like this that go kind of like this avant-garde-esque, and then right here like it's like cartoony child face, but he uses a lot of different techniques in his comic, and it's really, really good. It doesn't really get as much traction as I feel like it should, but I think it's doing pretty well. I mean, it's from Bad Idea, which is like a smaller press, and like a more of a newer comic imprint that I've seen around. But this series Cul-de-sac is on issue 6 right now. I don't know if it's going to be just a 6-issue run, or if it's going to be longer than that. I don't know, but so far it's been pretty good. The storyline's pretty great for the most part, and the artwork is amazing. Like I said, Jonathan Weishak to me is like a new age Sam Keith. So he kind of reminds me of. The next comic that I really enjoyed this year was Battle Beast. This is the issue number 5 or 6 Sean Gordon Murphy variant cover. But yeah, this comic was just, I'm an Invincible guy. If you guys don't know, huge fan. Invincible is like one of my favorite comics of all time. Even before the show, it was like one of the first comics I ever got into back in middle school. And when they announced the Battle Beast comic, I was all all in for it. I got the blind bags. I did the whole 9 yards. And I was just, hyped up for them to come back with not only Invincible like universe stuff, but with the main creators of Invincibles, like I saw Robert Kirkman and Ryan Ottley, who's one of my favorite artists, were going to work on the series. I was all in. I didn't care if the story was going to be cheeks or not. I just know Ryan Ottley's just amazing, and I think he's like one of those artists that are in the tier for me where no matter what comics they're doing between whether Spider-Man, Hulk, Invincible, Battle Beast, I'm gonna pick it up. I don't care what it is. So, and for the most part, the story is really good. It's gonna give a lot of back. It seems like they're going to just continue to build upon like the universe of Invincible, all this stuff in between time, and stuff like that. I can kind of see it being this like cameo type comic where we're going to see a lot of Invincible like favorite characters pop up here and there in the series. Obviously started with Battle Beast, which is like I think one of the most popular characters outside of Mark and Nolan. So we'll see where it goes from here. I think they're going to start the second story arc in March, so I'm pretty hyped to see where it continues on. The next book is this Peach Momoko's Ultimate X-Men is really, really good. It's really, really great. I love Peach Momoko's work. I think she's a phenomenal artist. She just does a lot of dope stuff. I'm not like I wasn't like a huge fan of all this Ultimate stuff, but I'm a fan of Peach Momoko, so I just wanted to pick it up and just give it a read. And I think it did pretty good for the most part. I love the May Storm character. I like her character design. I think she, it looks pretty cool. And I've been pretty much keeping up to date with it. I haven't been picking up the issues specifically. I just wait for the trades to come out. I've just been picking up the trades pretty much. But this is, I think, for me at least, out of all the Ultimate stuff that came out this last 2 years, is probably on my favorite series. I didn't read the Spider-Man one, the Black Panther one, or whatever else they had going on. I wasn't here for it, honestly. And so, but for that, it was pretty good. Gehenna. So I picked this series up. Pretty good. It's by our writer Patrick Kindlund and Mauricio Rosenwig is the artist, and it's a really, really cool comic. It's about like this assassin. She's like takes this mafia leader's kid and kind of goes on a run with the child, and she's getting hunted down by all the other mafias. It's kind of like a John Wick type story. The artwork is really, really good. The stories, for the most part, it's okay for the most part. I really like the artwork. And it was interesting, kind of like a one-off series that came out this year. I think is gonna go into a second story arc. I think this issue number 6 kind of alluded to that. I don't know. We'll see. These two guys, I think they work on a lot of books together. They have a lot of things they've done together in the past. But it was pretty good for them. I liked it. I mean, it was pretty interesting. This was another good one. Ghost Pepper. This came from Image as well. Is one artist, and he wrote it and drew it. Ludo Dubabi. Yeah, he's another European artist. He's really dope. He has like an American or like a Western manga feel to it. It's a pretty interesting story. It's about like this guy named Ash who helped these groups of people stop this like inevitable like monster being from destroying the planet. And then he ends up getting erased from history while one of the people in the team takes all the credit and becomes like the leader of the world. And he like goes into hiding or sleeping. They haven't really explained yet what happened to him. And then he like for like a bunch of years, he's like in like sleeping or like, I don't know. And he essentially comes back out of nowhere and after his like long slumber, and it kind of starts wreaking havoc unintentionally. It's a really good comic. I think it's pretty cool. I would pick it up for sure. If you're like that, like kind of like American manga fusion look, that's kind of what really drew me into the book. And the fact that it is one writer artist as well. I'm really into that type of stuff. So if a writer artist, if a person is the writer and the artist of the book, I'm more than likely going to pick it up, especially if I like the artwork. All right. So the next comic that I read this year is Minor Threats. Minor Threats is super duper dope. It's essentially about a bunch of like low level villains who have to kind of what's the word? Trying to get fucked up by this like Batman equivalent character who's kind of losing his mind because his sidekick got killed, and they kind of go through all these hijinks and try to figure out what's going on and what happened, and they're trying to find the villain that killed the sidekick in order to kind of save their asses. Um, it's a really really good comic. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Pat Oswalt's writing is really good. Scott Hepburn's art is phenomenal. He's a fan. Like he's got a fan out of me. Anything he does at this point, I'm going to pick up. Yeah, it's just a really interesting take on just like superheroes and like kind of like the world of like comics. It's like a somewhat parody, a kind of. I wouldn't say it's um like a dissect what's the word I'm looking for? I wouldn't say it's like a dissection of like the superhero tropes or anything in that nature. It doesn't go really that far, like a Watchmen or anything like that. It's more of just kind of like plays on the tropes of a superhero world and with villains and stuff, and kind of adds on to it. And they've done a good job of like doing pretty much building like a universe around it. They have this one comic called Barfly, who was a character in this series, who's like a minor character. They made a whole like mini run with the character named Barfly, and it was a really really good comic. I read that one as well. And yeah, I mean, and they are on the third arc, I believe, right now. It's coming out. I've been picking it up. It's pretty good. It's kind of following up what has been going on the last two arcs. It's a really really good comic. I would highly recommend it. This book I read was Spectators. This one is really really good. Brian Kane Vaughan and Nico Herrichon. This one is little graphics of like, you know, definitely for adults. It's essentially about this girl who's kind of, it seems to me maybe like a porn addict or a sex addict, and she gets killed by a mass shooter at a movie theater, and she ends up going into becoming a ghost, and she's like with all his other ghosts, and she's pretty much just watches time go by, and that's why they're called spectators. She meets this cowboy kind of guy, and they essentially go around the universe and just watch everybody do a bunch of wild stuff. And then in the mix of the story, the world starts to end, and yeah, it just kind of goes from there. It's kind of like a statement on just kind of like how kind of sex works and like how people kind of perceive it, and like, you know, all these like other things like fetishes and how people kind of get that way. I believe it was a comic that was done through Brian K. Vaughan's Substack during COVID, and they decided to I guess, you know, make it into a comic. But it's a really really good book. I really would highly recommend it, you know, if you're of age and you want to read something that's pretty interesting. It was a quick read. It wasn't like super in depth or like super what's the word I'm looking for, like drawn out and have like a lot of crazy stuff, you know, or crazy messaging, but it kind of alludes to a lot of cool stuff, and it was a good book. I really really enjoyed it. Brian K. Vaughan, I really like Brian K. Vaughan's work. He's a really good writer, like Paper Girls and you know, things like that. So the next book that I read this year that I really really liked was I Hate This Place by Kyle Starks and Atrium Topolin. And so this book is about this couple is a married couple, and they move into this farm that is essentially haunted. And on the farm, they don't know it's haunted, but they know the main girl. She essentially is told when she's growing up, because it's her aunt's farm. She inherits it from her aunt and her uncle who passed away, and they tell them do not leave the house at nighttime, and or shit's gonna happen. And obviously they kind of do that, and they kind of see what happens. And this is a dope comic. I think it was like an 8-issue run. You know, it wasn't like super duper long. It's only 2 trades. Both the trades are out right now, and it's just really really good. It's a fun read. Interesting concept of like the ghosts and the like monsters at nighttime. Kind of playing on like the farm feel with just like, you know, a bunch of crazy stuff going on. Atrium's artwork is really really good. I would highly recommend it. It was, like I said, it's a quick fun read. And it's just like a lot of other hijinks and, you know, crazy stuff going on. It kind of goes a lot of different places, and you know, I personally really really liked it. I thought it was really good. So that was one of my favorite ones I read this year. So The next stack, these are also like smaller press or like comics, but these are more most of these are like fancy graphic books at this point. So this is the older book, doesn't come so I didn't know if I said this earlier, disclaimer, but like a lot of these books are books that I read in 2025 doesn't necessarily mean they came out in 2025. I don't know if I said that earlier, but so yeah, I just want to just say that right now. So this book I found out, I saw this on Reddit. It's called Stitches. It's a memoir book by David Smalls. It's essentially about his childhood. It's a memoir, and it kind of just goes through his time getting these stitches on his head. He ended up having to get like a tumor taken out of his skull at like 8 or something like that, and it kind of talks about like family and trauma, and kind of dissects his whole like life, essentially just kind of growing up. He has like a really toxic relationship with his family, his parents, and um this is a really, really good book. I really, really liked it. It was a fun read. I love like slice of life and memoir comics is kind of like some of my favorite genre of books. um I think it just kind of like, I like reading comics that kind of that are like mundane stories that are like really, like I said, a regular slice of life and not fantastical. And I love to see how artists interpretate those types of stories and make them interesting. And oh yeah, and the tumor wasn't in his head, it was in his throat. So like he had to get surgery on his throat, get it like some of his lymph nodes taken out, I think, or something in that nature. And he couldn't talk for a little bit. And yeah, it's a really, really good comic. It's really, really great. um I would highly recommend it. I mean, it's pretty acclaimed. It got the National Book Award, or it was a finalist for it. Was a New York Times bestseller, and I think David Smalls went on to work on a lot of like animations and stuff like that. So these next two books are from Noah Van Sciver, the only Van Sciver I respect in comics. Um, these are One Dirty Tree and Maple Terrace. Both of these books are like memoir type books again. The first book I read by Noah Van Sciver was actually not too long ago. It was as a cartoonist, which is another slice of life book by him. And so, I mean, Noah, he's a good cartoonist. These books are really interesting. Like this one is about his time being like a kid in the like 90s, a comic book fan, and he kind of just talks about growing up and being a fan of comics and kind of get into it. This one's more like just like a real just story. Like it's centered in like essentially in like a 1 or 2 day span, and just kind of growing up at that time, and just like enjoying comics, being a child, and being poor, not being able to afford comics, and just you know just stuff like that. And then One Dirty Tree, which is about his life more. This one kind of goes more into depth in like what was going on in his family. So if you read these two, and then as a cartoonist, you kind of get like a good idea of who like Noah Van Sciver is. And I really, really like these comics. Like I was saying, these memoir slice of life comics, they do a good job of just kind of well, some artists, right? It's just like interesting the way they interpret the mundane and like regular situations and make them artsy, essentially, like, and make it entertaining for the reader. So this one is about like more in depth in his life, about his life at the time, like growing up, essentially like these dirt poor Mormon people, like just like all this stuff that was kind of going on with his dad, his mom, and having like 10 siblings and just a bunch of other stuff. And also goes back and forth between then and I guess the more like his early days as a cartoonist and being like poor, having to work at Panera, and having relationship issues with his girlfriend, who essentially wants somebody who's giving a more healthier lifestyle and more money brought in, and not just like getting like I guess advanced checks from like publishers, and then having to work at Panera when the money dries up, and stuff like that. It's really good. They're really good reads, quick reads. The next book I read that I really loved this year was Deadly Class. This is probably like hands down probably one of the best comics I think I've ever read in general. Rick Remender and Wes Craig. This comic is phenomenal. It's kind of like, I would say, like a Euphoria, but with assassin, like and Wes Craig's art is really great. Like, I found Wes Craig from Kaya, and then I kind of, I like Rick Remender. I've read some of his stuff before, like Black Science and other things like that. But Deadly Class was a whole different feel. Obviously, Rick Remender's writing it, but it's just so good, man. Like, these are one of the series that I read, and I read the whole thing through. Like, I bought the trade just kind of check it out, see if I was gonna like it or not. And then I bought the compendium and then just read the whole compendium within like 2 weeks. It's just an enjoyable comic, and Rick Remender does a really good job of building up all the characters. Like, I don't feel like any character is like left out, or I don't know what the purpose is or what they want. And Wes Craig does a good job of like giving his own feel to it, and adding his artistic stylings. Obviously, I'm like super late on this comic. This comic is really, really popular. They had a TV adaptation back during like 2019, 2020. I think it got canceled after like, I think COVID kind of messed it up. But it's a really, really good read. If you haven't read it, I would highly recommend to pick this up. It's a really good comic. Next series that I read that I really enjoyed was Southern Bastards. This one's another comic that I think is getting adapted by Hulu or Netflix. I think it was just announced. This is Jason Aaron and Jason Latour. Really good comic about. It starts off with like this dad who, well, not dad, but like this guy. He goes back to his hometown, which is kind of corrupted by and not overran, but like ran by the football coach, because down south there in Alabama, football is everything. You know what I'm saying? Nobody, I don't give a piss about nothing but the tad. That's the kind of vibes they got going on down there. And the head coach of the high school football team in Craw County is the like pretty much the person who runs everything. And the main character, he goes down there to help sell his uncle's house, who's sick and can't live there no more. And we kind of get like this backstory about his dad, who was a sheriff at the time. And then the main guy who kind of goes there, he kind of, he tries to like impede on what's going on, and it kind of goes from there. It's kind of like a crime drama book. Jason Latour's artwork is really, really good. The writing is done really well. Jason Aaron is a really good writer. Yeah, this one is one of those series again that I kind of picked up and didn't want to put down. I really read it. It was a quick, easy read, great character development, good pacing. I'm interested to see how they're going to do the story for this for the movie, but it's a really good comic. All right, so the next one that I picked up, this one's from Fantagraphics, is Blood of the Virgin by Sammy Harkin. Or was it Markin? No, Harkin. Sammy Harkin. Hardcam, whatever. Either way. So this comic is again like one of my favorites. I'll be honest with you, that I read this year. Is really, really good cartooning. It's essentially about this screenwriter and like old Hollywood. I think it's like the 50s or 60s, 70s, and he's writing a screenplay for a book, for a movie called Blood of the Virgin. It gets picked up, and he's pretty much trying to get the movie done. And then we kind of get this like melodrama type comic about his personal life with his wife, who's like his foreign. I think she's from like Iran or something like that. And then we just kind of get this whole character piece. Essentially, like this book can be like a movie. Like we kind of get like a deep dive of all the characters, and just kind of like we also get like a real view of kind of old Hollywood and how kind of things were ran, and the type of movies that were popular at the time, and a whole lot of good stuff. And this is a really good comic. There's and it's like a lot of really, really good cartooning. It's not like super high. I mean, it's good detail, but it's like good cartooning for what the story, like the artwork runs really, really well for what the story is about and what it kind of is talking about. And it was a really thoroughly like enjoyable read. Like this page right here is like one of my favorite pages of like cartooning, where like these guys are filming and on a set, and it's illegal for them to film there because they don't have all of the paperwork right to film the scene. Like they need all like the insurance stuff, blah 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 blah. And so the cops come and raid the set and they all run away. And then like, it's like, there's no dialogue. It's like 20 fucking panels on a page, maybe even more. And they're running away from the cops, and we kind of see like the motion of them running away, tumbling down this hill, hopping over a fence. And it's just really, really good. It's a really good comic. Again, highly recommend. Definitely pick that up. Next book out of the the last one out of the mainstream small press pile is Ben Passmore's Black Arms to Hold You Up. This is a comic essentially about the history of Black revolutionaries, from like the Black Panthers, the movement, people who rebelled against like white supremacy in the South, who essentially just weren't going for this shit, and like hidden history that isn't really told in today's society. And it kind of is Ben Passmore, who is a proud anarchist. That's like his political ideology, and he essentially trying to kind of like narrates through the time, like as a self insert, and kind of like maneuvers through the time of all these Black radical movements and ideologies and people who are there, like Marcus Garvey and things like that. It's a really, really good book. I was actually been waiting a couple years for this book. He announced it a while back, and I don't know why it took so long for it to come out. But it's just great, man. He talks like Assad Shakur, and so many other things. I learned a lot reading this book, and I definitely plan on checking out stuff. And Ben Passmore is a great cartoonist in general. He does a lot of good work. This is really good. It's like black, white, and pink. It's some shit. Just really good stuff. Highly recommend to pick it up if you're interested in learning about some history that is essentially hidden. That's my pile of books that are small press or mainstream books that I read this year in 2025 that I really, really enjoyed so far. So now we're going to move into my manga pile, which is kind of a smaller pile of books that I read this year that I really, really liked. I'm sure there's more. Like, again, I'm still reading Chainsaw Man. I really love Chainsaw Man. Let me check my phone, because most of the manga I read digitally. And there's a new one I just started reading called Kuromizawa's Folly. That one's really, really good. That's about this like mangaka who is essentially like past his prime, and at a last ditch effort, he hires this assistant to ghost as the artist, the ghost as himself as the artist for this manga series that he's trying to pitch to the Shonen Jump at the time. And they're just and the manga artist that he finds is like this illiterate guy who essentially can't read, but he draws literally essentially it's like exactly like the main character, and he's like a super fan. And the mangaka, the pro mangaka, essentially like finesses him into this deal where he isn't going to give him any of the credit, but the assistant doesn't know that because he can't read. So whenever they wrote the contract, it's all this crazy stuff going on, but it's really, really good. I would highly recommend it. It just started. It's probably like 20 chapters in. Those are the two manga that I've read digitally that I've been keeping up with. And here are some of the other books that I've read. So first one is Takopi's Original Sin. So this went essentially viral when the first episode of the anime came out, because it's really, really, really fucking dark. It's essentially about this alien who shows up in this place where this little girl is getting violently bullied by another little girl at her school, to the point where the little girl self-deletes herself. And the alien is like, whoa, like I didn't know this was gonna happen. And he has like this like these gadgets and stuff to go and go back in time, and he keeps trying to help this little girl and solve our problems, which essentially is the other bully girl. And it kind of goes from there. It's just really, really good. It gets dark, but it was an interesting read. It really caught my attention when I read it. When I was watching the first issue, when I was watching the first episode of the anime, I was like, "Whoa, I got to pick up this manga." And I was happy that it was already like a manga that was already completely done as like an old web comic that came out a couple years ago, and it got collected, and now it is a really popular anime. So if you haven't checked out the anime, I would check it out. But again, it's really dark. There's a lot of crazy shit going on, but it's a fun time. It was a fun time. I read this probably like in a day and a half. Next one, I just actually picked this up and I thought it was really good. It's called Huntress. This actually just came out. This is an old manga that came out in 93, and it just got sent over here to America and translated. It's essentially about this kid who's being stalked by this girl who has no idea why, and she's just stalking him, and she just wants him for some reason. He has no idea. Like, he's like this young college kid. He's living in his apartment by himself, and one night he hears his woman knocking on his neighbor's door, and he's like, "Yo, like, what are you doing?" And then she ends up taking a liking to him, and then she just won't leave him alone for the whole the rest of the manga. And it's really good. It's like a one-shot manga. And it's just kind of creepy, a little eerie. And it was a fun time. I had a good time reading it. It's a quick read. I would highly recommend picking it up. Apparently on the back it says it kind of influenced stalking culture in Japan. When I tried to look that up, like articles about that, and seeing things, so that might just be like something for like press. But regardless, it was a fun read. This was a fun book I read called Rakuda's Laugh, by Katsuya Terada, who is like one of those, like, this Terada is like an artist. He's like a really, really dope artist. A lot of people know him for his art books on Instagram, but he put this manga out a couple years ago. It's like this anthology manga about just like this cop kind of guy, and he's just doing a bunch of just like wild stuff in there in the book. Like, he's like known for like doing drawings like this. Like, if you go on his Instagram, he has like these crazy, like super detailed drawings, and then he has like these really, really dope like art books. Also, like, a lot of people are like really big fans of his art books, but here in this manga, he kind of like stripped it down to like his style to the bones, and just like really there's some really cool work in this book. I just saw it at the comic shop and I recognized the name, and I was like, oh wait, that's that guy. And then I just kind of picked it up and I just started reading it. I'm trying to find some pages I can show on the screen because it's a little X-rated. But yeah, it was a fun comic to read for sure. Just a lot of great artwork. There's like a bunch of like mini stories that he kind of collected together. I don't know when he did this, or like he just did this online and then just found a publisher and collected all the stories together. But it's interesting, kind of like a crime noir, a little funny, not too serious, but really good. This is Oshira from Saturday AM. This is probably like one of their better titles that they've put out. Saturday AM. I really, really enjoyed this comic. The art it's by oh man, this guy's name is a little tough. Huzaf Umar. This is actually his first manga, and it's like freaking great. So I don't know if you guys might know a little bit of Saturday AM. They're best known for like Apple Black and Hammer, and they're like imprint that came up from like the most popular person on the imprint is White Manga, and this whole little thing. But essentially, this is a great comic. This artist came up through their like contest they do every year, and he won. And yeah, man, this is a dope comic. Just so much good artwork. He just killed it, especially for somebody who's like essentially his very first comic. The story is really good. It's like has a lot of West African mythology characters, and yeah, he snapped on there. Really good. I'm currently reading this one right now, is volume 3, but Mujin Into the Deep by Ino Asano, who's the mangaka for Goodnight Pun Pun. This is pretty good and pretty interesting. I actually remember when this first came out online on Manga Dex, but I waited for it to be put in the Takoban version so I can like read it without having to keep up with the website. And I mean, it's pretty interesting. It's about these people who are called the Mujin, who are essentially not humans. They're like people who give away their human status to become like essentially people who are like laws don't abide by them, so they can essentially go and kill people and nothing will happen to them, but they also can get killed themselves and nothing will happen to the person who kills them. And so a lot of people will hire them to be like assassins and prostitutes and all this other crazy stuff. And and they're also treated as like second rate people, like just not again like not humans. They're just items, you know. So really interesting. It's really interesting take on like political views and stuff like that. And Asano's artwork is really dope. He's a good artist. I mean, if you read Pun Pun, he's he's a really good Girl on the Shore, and he has a lot of good interesting comics and concepts. Really dope. He also has a YouTube channel where he live streams and he like draws some of these pages on there. So if you guys will check it out, it's all in Japanese, but you sure go and just watch him do his thing. And this one, I just picked this one up a few weeks ago or like a month or two ago. It is this one was a Kickstarter book. It's Cry Punch. This was like a bunch of like indie comic book artists who did a Kickstarter and collected and made like their own Shonen Jump comic, and it's honestly really dope. I just got it off Amazon, so I'm sure you guys can go pick it up. It has Nick Dragata in there, who is the current Batman artist for Absolute Batman. It has a bunch of other guys like Al Golf and people like that. Let's go check it out. It's just a really good book. I just love the printing that they were able to get like the Shonen Jump feel with the print. And it's just super duper dope. This is a fun read. A lot of good like artwork, stories. It's like 5 or 6, probably more than that, like 10 different stories. It's all battle. The theme was like tournaments and battles. So really good. Just a lot of good artwork in here. All right. Did you pick all these up at the same place or Josh? I got them all separately. So Hancho Joshi, I got all these books throughout the year. Starting from like January to now. So these are like my books for 2025, like all my favorite books. Some of them I got off on like Amazon. Some of them I got from people at conventions. Some of them I got from the comic book shop. All different places. But none of these books are like books that are like out of print or unattainable. Essentially, they're all books that I've just gotten. They're all pretty relatively available. Like all these books are all like mainstream or like popular comics. All right, so move this aside real quick, and then we're gonna look at the indie books, and then we're gonna move on to some drawing. That's open, brother. Appreciate you, man. All right. So this last stack is all of the like indie books, grassroots comics from people that I got from shows, people who I kind of know off Instagram through like the scene of like comics, indie comics. Some of them I think I might have gone through Kickstarter, or people with like Shopify accounts and all that good jazz. Let me take a sip of my drink real quick. All right, so this book, I found this. Somebody, I think I might follow the artist. This is Undergrowth by Ricky Lama, and Danielle Aquilani. And this is a really dope book, and it's crazy. I got this on Amazon for like $1. And look at this. This is a thick book, high quality, color, everything, really great art. And I don't know why it's $1. It's from Top Shelf Publishing, and it's a phenomenal book. Essentially about these like at one point in time, all of these like aliens came to Earth and kind of like fucked up all like the elements of the planet, and so all the humans kind of had to live in fear of these aliens. And the main characters, they end up dying by one of the aliens. They end up being killed, and they end up getting reborn into these forms of like beings to take down these aliens. And yeah, it's a pretty interesting read. Like again, it's really dope artwork. I had a good time reading it. Really fun. I don't know, why it's only $1 on Amazon. It might not be like that anymore, but it was $1, and it's like 300 pages. Go check it out. Really good. Undergrowth. This next one is Turtle Soup from J.A. Cartoons. Go follow him on Instagram. This is his like, it's kind of like a bootleg Ninja Turtle book. So I'm opening right now. It's really good. Jay is a dope artist, and he did his thing on this comic. I'm not gonna lie, he did a really good job, like on the colors and the drawings. It's it's essentially kind of like this anthology book about his love for Ninja Turtles. I think he might still have a couple copies available on his Instagram, so go check him out. JA Cartoons. Um, he snapped, man. He snapped on this. Just really, really good cartooning. It kind of like plays fun with like 80s, 90s stuff because I think that's when he was around during the early Ninja Turtles fandom. So go check that out from him. Turtle Soup, the fun thing. This next book is I tabled at a convention early this year, and one of the vendors there, she was selling these books. They're like kind of like anthology comics. They're like queer books called Dactura. I got issue number 2 and issue number 3, and boy, oh boy, I love the printing on these books. Like, look at this cover. It's like rotograph printing, and it just looks phenomenal. Like, look at that. It's like an anthology book, a lot of different stories about like different people from the LGBTQ and like they're just like life, and romance and just so good, man. Like, look at this page right here. I gotta find. Let me see if I can find the in here. I'm pretty sure they still have some available for print. Hopefully, they're still doing more stuff. It's from a lot of different artists in here. So, let me see. I think these are the artists I worked on this one right here. If you guys can check that out, let me see if it'll focus. I don't know. And then book 3 as well is the same. Another just really, 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 really good. Has like color print. Like, I love when I see a book that has like the printing isn't with like the lines aren't black, they're like different colors. That like it's super duper dope. Really, really dope comic. The next comic that I really enjoyed that I picked up this year from a dope artist is Upstate by Stephen Pelnet. This kind of reminds me of like damn it, what is it called? Like the sorry, like Love and Rockets kind of. Essentially it's about the story about this girl who is broke and she has to move back home to her hometown, and she kind of has to deal with like all these like memories and things that kind of happened back then, because her dad's sick, she's broke, she was like a writer. And the artist Steven, he just is a really dope artist. I believe he's working on some book for some publishers, so he hasn't put out another issue of Upstate, but it's really, really good. The writing is super dope. The stories, everything. It's a really good comic. Go check him out at Stephen Planet on Instagram. Upstate. Nosebleed. So this one I actually talked to Derek. Nosebleed, he's from Derek Jones. I actually talked to him on live stream. So, and I also clipped up the interview as well. So if you want to go check that out, go check it out. But Nosebleed is essentially like Akira meets Scanners, and it's just a really, really dope art story, dope artwork. Derek Jones is a really, really dope artist. Go follow him in on Instagram at Scud Inks. Bro, he's one of my favorites for sure out of the artists that I've seen. He does really dope gouache work. He's just phenomenal. He also put in this cool drawing he did of Wolverine, Weapon X Wolverine, in here for me as well. So go check this out. Nosebleed. There's like 4 issues. It's really, really good, fun read, great artwork. Go check out those interviews in that live stream we drew. I drew a pinup with some of the characters as well on there. So go check that out if you're interested. Let's look at a few more. I got a few more, and then we'll get to the drawing. This back in here real quick. These books I just got recently. Limerence by Andrew Renata. Dope artist. Been following him on Instagram for a couple months, maybe like I probably started following him this year. He did his first Kickstarter, and this is his first comic called Limerence. It's like a comic about this ninja character who's trying to find his dad. Really, really dope artist. Go follow him on Instagram at Drew Renata. Really, really dope. I'm pretty sure he still has copies left on his website, and he does like cool remarks and stuff on there as well. Great artwork. The story was pretty good as well. Go check it out. Um, Overkiller by Ken. God bless. Sorry, I want to make sure I get him his credit. By Kevin Tran and Kent Ture, I believe it's pronounced as him and his brother. They wrote and made this comic. I actually interviewed Kevin as well on the channel. Go check that out if you want to go learn more about like why and like the origins of this comic. Kevin is a super dope artist. This comic is really, really fun. I got the black and white version as well as the colored version. I think they're all available on his website, or I think you can just DM on Instagram at Kevin Dran Art, I believe. And go check that out. It's a really good comic, really fun time. I think he's working on issue number 2 right now. So next one is from, a really dope artist, a person I, correspond with and talk to, fairly often. Dope guy, really cool guy. I met him at HeroesCon, Raymond Brunson. And I've talked about his comic in my video about like my comic book recommendations, Ghostman, but this is the other comic he put out this year called Biochemical Protector Bone Grinder, which is like a kind of like a real like noir action comic, very futuristic dystopian comic about this the soldier who gets woken up and in the future and kind of just goes crazy and like starts a lot of fighting, and it kind of reminds me of Demolition Man to a degree, except for without like the Wesley Snipes main character, but it kind of gives me that vibe to Demolition Man. It's really good. Go check it out. This is through Cosmic Lion Publishing Productions. You can go pick it up from them, or you can just hit up Raymond Brunson on Instagram at Raymond Brunson Art. Really, really dope. Next comic is Cankor by Matthew Ellison. This is a dope book. This is just super fun. The artwork is super duper dope. Just like these interesting characters are kind of like rebuild themselves and just like do a bunch of interesting, weird, crazy stuff. I really, really like the artwork. The story kind of is peculiar, to say the least, but I think the artwork just pays, makes the book worth picking up. So I will go check it out. Matthew Allison on Instagram. This book is really, really good. It's good quality. Look at that. It's a really good book. This other book I go from Nico Rodriguez, West Not South. I met Nico at HeroesCon this last year. I actually been knew about him a little bit before that. He used to do a podcast with Comic Ken, and they would talk to comic books pros and kind of talk about being an independent artist and stuff. And he did a Kickstarter for this either earlier this year or like late last year. And essentially, he's about this character who is going across country to kind of like find himself and kind of figure out what he needs to like do. I forgot. I read it earlier this year, so forgive me, but really dope. It kind of gives me like this real like surrealist look. He did all the pages in watercolor and everything. It's really fun. I think if you could look up Nico Rodriguez on Instagram, you'll be able to pick up a copy. Super fun, super dope. If you kind of like surrealist type comics that aren't like super high stakes, but like has like a lot of good vibes. Essentially, is kind of what I get from it. I would pick it up as a good fun read. And last but not least, the last comic that I picked up this year that I really, really enjoyed is Vampire Boy. This is from the indie manga punk imprint. Stories by Dolly Petit Claire, and art is by Annie Namor Peckard. This is a fun comic about this boy who gets turned into a vampire. The artwork like reminds me of like Naruto, like the like gives me like super duper Naruto vibes. Like you can tell the artist was like influenced by by Naruto for sure. But it was a good read. It was fun. I like the story, the action. This is the first issue. You can pick it up off the Manga Punk website. Yeah, it's just a fun time. Really good comic. Really, really dope. So yeah, that's my top comics of 2025. For everybody's in the chat, whoever's who's hanging out so far, just comment some of your favorite comics you read this year. It doesn't have to necessarily be books that came out this year, but maybe just like books that you picked up and checked out this year. That's like to me that's like the beauty of comics. Like you don't have to read a book. Like you can discover a new book at all times. It's kind of like the beauty of literature in general. Like good literature is gonna last forever. And there's so many books and so many comics, manga, and also that comes out all the time that you can pick up a new thing, and like it might be 80 years old but still stands strong today. That's why I love comics. That's why I love just picking up new stuff all the time and checking it out and reading it. I got a whole plethora of books in my room. But let me set up my camera for the drawing. I got two pieces. I don't know if I'm gonna get to both of them tonight. So I have this piece of Absolute Zantana that I can do, or I can do this piece that is kind of like a promo drawing for my next project that I'm going to be doing after I'm done with the AWOL Kickstarter. So while I'm setting it up, you guys let me know what you guys want me to ink or do, and then yeah, I'll do that, and then we can call it a day. So let me I'm gonna turn the camera off so I can adjust it without like killing your guys' vision. All right. Sorry about that. I was just trying to adjust my camera. I just didn't turn the mic off because I was just putting the books up real fast, and then I had to go use the restroom. So I just did that real quick before I got back on to do the drawing. See if I can get a good angle. Boom, boom, boom. All right, all right. Sorry, I got like trying to set up like new stuff. I got a new webcam and I got a new like iPod, so I'm trying to like figure all this stuff out. Just you know, just all right, that should be good. All right, cool, 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 cool. All right, all right, all right. So yeah, but yeah, what's up, everybody? All right, so I think I'm gonna do this piece. It's like it'll be pretty quick, and we can kind of, you know, turn the brain off a little bit. Move this microphone on my face. And, so yeah, all right. So a little bit. All right, sweet. All right. So this is a piece for it's like kind of like Promar. Me just kind of just messing around with the design for a new character. I'm going to be in a comic that I'm going to be working on here in the this year coming up. So for those who weren't here early in the chat, I'm doing a Kickstarter for the first volume of AWOL, which is like the first 4 chapters of it. So about 160 pages I just finished this month actually, and then I'm going to be doing the Kickstarter for it. Let me show you guys real quick. I just activated the pre-launch page is up right now. So if you guys are hit the pre-launch page notification. I will be launching January 10th. That's the projected date so far that I'm hoping to get to. This will be the first arc of AWOL, issues number 1 through 4. There'll be like 150 pages of comics plus um, some more stuff. Might just add some more the back matter and stuff like that. I'm gonna drop the link right now in the chat for you guys if you guys want to go hit that notification button for that. And yeah, so that's kind of like was my thing for the year. I don't know, how many of you guys follow me on Instagram or seen, but I was able to knock that whole entire book out in about 7-8 months. And I've just come to realize that I work, relatively, fast as an artist. And I don't know if it's just because, I mean, there's one, two, love it. Can't wait for it. Oh man, I appreciate it. Josh, Joshy. But so yeah. So, I've, been working on comics and, last 3 or 4, like 5 years since 2020, maybe a little bit after that, like 2021. And I feel like I've done, pretty well for what I've, for the short time that I've, been making comics, writing, drawing, getting back into it. I've been a fan of comics my whole life, and but I, fell off of drawing and writing comics in like middle school. I picked it back up during the pandemic, like most people kind of picked up, old hobbies, and that was the one I picked back up. And slowly but surely been working my way up to like getting better at drawing, getting better at writing, using these platforms like YouTube specifically as a way to build up an audience for people to support and who want to check me out and all that good stuff, as well as on Instagram. And I've kind of been seeing the landscape of a lot of artists. A lot of artists they get burnt out. A lot of artists they are really talented but don't know how to use social media in their to their best advantage, to maximize social media and not just use it as like a place to kind of brain rot, right? I feel like I've kind of slowly but surely figured out how to maximize the use of social media to benefit me and not for me just to benefit it, and things like that. um And then through this time, I've kind of came up with like things that have helped me, and keys and ideas that I've essentially thought about that, what it makes an artist successful. Um, and I've been thinking about it a lot. And things that kind of like things that I tell myself, and things that I need to do for myself in order for me to be successful. And how I was able to do the 150 pages in 7 months. And the first thing is like being consistent and scheduling. These are the two things that a lot of artists tend to have a hard time with, or just people in general. And it doesn't have to be like comic book artists related, just people in general. I feel like have a hard time delineating their time to find things that to put time and energy into things that they enjoy, and that isn't just like their 9 to 5 or their fucking like their job. And quickly I was able to kind of figure out how to do that. When I first started getting back into cartooning, I also became a dad, a father. My son was born maybe like 6 months after I started getting back into drawing comics, 6 7 months. And I quickly realized like, oh, I'm not going to be able just to sit around and draw all day. I'm gonna have to figure out what parts of the day was best work for me. And that was during these times, right? The end of the day, when the kids are asleep, when everybody else is, my work stuff is all done. That was like the best time for me. And even just that alone is just a big step, right? A lot of people aren't intentional with their times, and how to use their time in the most thorough way. When I was early on in making and drawing comics, I was watching a bunch of not reviews, tutorials like people do, and looking at people for advice, like professionals and stuff. And I think it was David Finch who said that you have to, it's not about the amount of time you have in a day to study art or to draw. It's about what you do with the little time that you have, right? Being intentional with the amount of time that you have. Like if you only have 30 minutes to study, you need to make that the best 30 minutes you can. If you have 8 hours to study, then use whatever, like 80 hours. More power to you for the more time you have. And I really kind of took that to heart, where I am very intentional with what I do during that time. And in the last 5 years, I found that you know, um, staying up, right? When I have on the weekends, when I or like the days I'm off work, I will stay up a little bit extra late because I know like the next day I won't have to wake up early, and I'll work on some comic stuff, right? Again, very intentional with my time, very intentional with my with how I just do everything, right? I try to stay on routine and schedule with everything. Obviously, if things don't go that way and I don't get a chance to work on a comic or work on art that day, then so be it. And that's just how that day was going to go. And I don't really like beat myself up over it. That's another thing I see a lot of people. They kind of get like, oh man, I wasn't able to draw. I wasn't able to do this today. And sometimes it happens, and you just gotta just let that go and don't beat yourself up over it, and just continue on the next day. And I never like at this point for me, honestly, like I can't go very long without being creative or anything like that. Obviously, if I have things that I can't, then I can't. Then I'll find another thing to do. And now I've been lately been struggling with this like the YouTube thing because I really like making the YouTube channel, like I'm making the videos. But I don't like having to dedicate a lot of time into making YouTube videos, as far as like editing. Like I'm not a big fan of editing. I'm a fan of like finding ideas and topics and writing and recording myself, but I don't really care for the editing process. I've been battling with that, and trying to you know uh uh separate my time between making comic books and making YouTube content. Whereas to me, comic books is above all the thing that I really want to do and that I love. So like I don't like just last month I didn't drop any videos. I'm gonna start working on a video because now that I'm finished with the AWOL, I'm gonna try to like knock out like write a bunch of video scripts so I can kind of have them lined up for the next month. Um, but yeah, that's something I've kind of been struggling with, adding and subtracting things into like my routine that don't impede on like the main goal, which is making comics. So, yeah, like, yeah, just being really intentional with your time, I think really helps a lot with people. I mean, will really help a lot. Like that really works for me. Just making sure I'm using the best of what my time is. And even another good thing that you can use is rest, right? If you are tired, you are burnt out, resting is being good and intentional with your time. Like if knocked out a bunch of pages in a week, or you were able to do a lot of stuff, or you just had a long day at work, you know, finding those points for rest is always important, right? You don't want to burn yourself out or get yourself all wound up, and you might fuck around and just um sorry, one second. You might fuck around and not be able to produce your best work. That's happened to me, where I tried and forced myself to finish stuff, even though I'm tired, and then I look back at it, I'm like, oh man, like that didn't come out the way I wanted to, or it didn't, I didn't get the best product or the best piece out of that comic page or that panel. Rest is super duper important. I think a lot of people get caught up on like this, like these mangakas, and they're like, oh, they work, they only sleep 3 hours and all that stuff. And I think that's just just dumb. Like, I don't know why anybody wants to live that lifestyle. I don't think that would be enjoyable at all. You don't even get to enjoy your work, right? Because you're freaking, these manga, they will work, what, 18 hours, they sleep 3 hours, and then, it's on to the next chapter, on to the next chapter, and they don't even get to enjoy their fruits of their labor, or enjoy their life at all. They're just working, working, working. And I wouldn't want to do that. That's, fuck that. But regardless, um, yeah, so that's like one thing that I think this helped me a lot, that a lot of people need to like try to figure out, like, how to be intentional, how to stay on routine, and how to do that, and you don't have to do like a lot a day. A rule of thumb that me and some friends will always say is like, a panel a day, or a page a day. If you do a page a day for a month, you have a full comic done, right? Like that's not, that's, I feel like that's kind of doable, right? Um, and even with like scheduling your things out, the way I, make my comics, I will write the whole entire script, and then I'll draw all the thumbnails, and then I'll pencil all the pages, and then I'll ink all of them. Like I do it like that. I don't do one full thing. Like I don't do one full page, like pencils, ink, thumbnails, pencils, inks, and then move on. That would take too much time. I think um being able to compartmentalize the task uh helped me a lot too this last year of making all of these, knocking out this comic. And I think I could have finished AWOL probably sooner, but the thing that kind of fucked me up was the YouTube thing, right? I got caught up in doing the YouTube stuff, um, doing the Kickstarter. The Kickstarter earlier this year, Loki kind of kicked my ass. This energy, like mental capacity, like energy and stuff like that, kind of, um, just took a lot out of me. And here I go again trying to do another Kickstarter, but I think that's just the most viable and way to produce a book, honestly. But yeah. So if you guys are interested in making comics, I think that would be like the most thing. Like, find out, okay, how does my schedule work? What does my schedule look like? Do I work? What is it consistent? Is it am I on a night shift, or I'm on a day shift? Am I able to you know take 2-3 hours out of the day to work on a script, to work on a page, to work on some thumbnails, to do those things? Those a little goes a long way. A little a day goes a long way, in the long run, right? Again, if you're able to, like right now, for example, I'm working on a script for another video for my next for my main channel. Right now I'm kind of working my way back into the groove of writing scripts and working on a comic books, I mean, on YouTube stuff. So right now, on the topic that I'm at hand, I've done all the research. I found all my references. Now I'm slowly working my way into writing the script. So now I'm going 30-minute blocks. So I'll just write for 30 minutes, and if I get in the flow within that 30 minutes, I will continue after the 30 minutes. If I can't find my flow state with it, I just stop, and then I was like, I'll get back to the script next time. And so that's been working for me as far as writing goes. When it comes to art, um, since I've been doing it the last like 5 or 6 years, I feel like I've found a good rhythm as far as like knowing how to do it. Again, scripting, which I do the same thing with scripting as far as I do scripting for my YouTube videos, and then the thumbnailing, the same thing. I usually like when I get to the thumbnailing and penciling, inking, I try to do like 1 page, 2, 3 pages a day, and then yeah, that's kind of how I do that. But yeah, I think again, uh, being intentional with your time is like the best thing you can do. Like, don't get distracted too much with your phones or all this other stuff. Obviously, me, I get distracted with my phone all the time. The worst thing for me is when I'm drawing, I try to find like stuff to listen to on YouTube, which I'm sure a lot of you guys do the same thing. Where I'm like, all right, this video I watched is over now. I gotta find something else to listen to. I gotta find something else to watch. I gotta find something else to, and then I'll waste a lot of time like trying to find the right thing to listen to or watch. I need to try to find music. I think that would be the best thing. But even that, I'll get caught up like trying to find the right album, the right artist for the mood, or stuff like that. Um, so and even that is just like if that happens that night, whatever it is, what it is. But yeah, I think that is like the important thing. Scheduling, routine, intentionality with your time. Those are the best things that for me that's helped with my progression with this last year on getting the first volume of AWOL done, like just staying on it, and I've just gotten to the point, like, again, like it's just routine for me to knock something out. And then if I need a break, then I'll just take a break and I won't feel bad about it. Cause right now, I mean, I'm an indie artist, this is all low stakes stuff, really, if anything, I'm more losing when I don't make a YouTube video because I'm monetized on my main channel and I get, I get a little bit of coin off of that main channel. So when I don't put a video out like I did this last month, I kind of, lost a little bit of money that I could have used to reinvest in, other things. And, you know, then that was, a decision that I had to make because I wanted to get the book done. I really wanted to get this comic done for this year and then, roll out the Kickstarter for next year. So I'll take the L on that because again, making comics is what I want to do. It's my passion. It's what I really love. And I really have fun doing, making these comics and drawing, and, writing and all that stuff and coming up with ideas. And, yeah. So, yeah, I'll take the L on the monetization, little Google AdSense for now, because I know that, not to sound like cocky or anything, like, I know I can make videos that are I could drop 2, 3 videos and I get, a smooth couple pennies, from from Google. So I'm not really too, because it's not like the money's gonna go away. The AdSense is gonna go away. I just gotta drop. And that's the other thing that I really, really like about YouTube is that you don't really have to be like super consistent. Like you don't have to drop all the time in order for you to stay like relevant. You just gotta keep the quality the same and keep the like the topics that you talk about at least in the same vein. Yeah. Another thing I wanted to talk about that I think is like really important for comic book artists that I've seen is like there's two things that I've kind of uh mantraed for myself, right? That I look at and I'm like, okay, this is something that I want to that I do that I think about that like I think would kind of um two key factors and personality things that you need to have as a comic book artist to be kind of successful. I think the two things is having confidence and being competent, right? Obviously, I'm sure you guys know what those mean. Those words kind of mean, right? Being confident is just being well within yourself, knowing your worth, knowing how to not letting anybody push you off of your path with any distractions or anything like that. Being confident in the way you project yourself, put yourself out there, and not feel ashamed or embarrassed by whatever you're doing. And I feel like a lot of times I've ran into artists who are like it's two things, right? They're either like self-deprecating, like, oh, it's not that good, that wasn't that great, like that, and they're kind of like they get like embarrassed to put out their stuff. And I've never subscribed to like self-deprecation. I never really liked that. Like, obviously, maybe you're a comedian, whatever, it is what it is. It's kind of like part of the the whole shtick. But I never like. I think even if your artwork isn't that great, you should always feel proud of the accomplishment and getting stuff done. That's how I've always maneuvered. I've always been happy with getting stuff done. I know that like when I first started, I wasn't the best artist, but as I've gotten better, Like I look at my old stuff, and I'm like, oh yeah, this stuff is tough now, like compared to my old stuff, and then it just keeps getting better and better. And but if you don't have confidence, you might get moved off of your pivot by just seeing like other people's artwork on Instagram. You're constantly being flooded by comparison, which is like comparison is I forget what the phrase is, but like comparison is like the enemy of happiness or whatever the fuck. Like, and I never really like to compare myself to other people. Like I have a competitive spirit when it comes to artists. Like I like looking at other artists, see what they're doing, but I don't look at other people's work and I'm like, oh man, like I'm not that good. Like, what am I doing? I'm wasting my time. Like I'm never like that. I'm like, oh man, he's good. Like I want to keep grinding and get to that spot. Like I want to get to that spot and then get to the next spot and whatever. Like that's how I kind of see it, right? Like having confidence, but also confidence is being comfortable with your space and where you're at and not trying to bring other people down or be like crappy or shitty towards other people. I've seen that a lot online, especially within like the indie manga space, quote unquote, like American manga space. I've seen a lot of people who are toxic and just weird and ugly towards other artists, like indie artists, for like no reason. Like they feel entitled to talking shit or critiquing other people when they are not in a better position than the people that they're talking about, or like things like that. I've never subscribed to that. I feel like I've always, if I don't like somebody's stuff, then I just don't like it, and it is what it is. I'll just keep it to myself. But even, I just think, I'm here for all types of artwork. I don't have a specific style that I like. I don't think anybody's better than anything. At the end of the day, it's just comics, is just artwork, and it's supposed to be fun for everybody. And I've always subscribed to the idea of like, if I'm not having fun making this stuff, then why am I doing it? I see a lot of people, they get kind of stressed out, like, oh man, I expect it to be in this place, and I have all these expectations to be popular or be published by Marvel at this time or be in Japan or whatever their goals were, and they don't do that. They kind of get bummed out. They're like, oh, I don't, whatever. Or they'll be bitter and they'll talk shit or like whatever, just be weird and online. And I never like that. Being confident is being able to just, like, again, understand your space and not feel like you need to like down anybody else to big yourself up. Like that's not confident. And like, there's a lot of people online who kind of just say stuff and have no, like, there's no, like, meritocracy essentially is dead online. A lot of people claim to be like these people who know everything or know how to make comics or do all this stuff, but then none of them are published through anybody or made any like real money or like done anything that would be that would, generally speaking, like be seen as like an accomplishment, right? Like for me, like I was able to do my Kickstarter for camp for A1 number one. I made like $2,000. To me, I feel like I accomplished something. To other people, they'll be like, "Oh, that's it. That's all you made. Da da da. That's not nothing. That's not a lot of money. Da da da." Because obviously success is subjective. But for me, I felt like that was awesome. That was dope, and I feel good about it in order to continue making the comic and continue on. Even if you only made $500, I feel like that's awesome that that people supported you enough to even give you that much money, right? Like, why not? But and then the next thing, moving forward, is competence. And competence is essentially just like seeing what's going on, what you're doing, and how you can continue to grow better. That's kind of my interpretation of it in this context, right? Being competent, being able to like study what other people are doing and kind of see how they've been able to be successful. Like a lot of people don't pay attention, right? They don't watch how other people like with YouTube, right? Before I started doing YouTube, I studied YouTube a lot. Like I was already a big fan of YouTube. I watched a lot of YouTube channels. I was already reading, watching a lot of YouTube, watching like people who made other video essays and like stuff like that. Like when I first started my channel, my main channel, I was doing videos like the cartoonist kayfabe or like things like that, where I was just doing overhead reading of my comics from my collection and kind of like talking about them. But I realized really quick that was not something that I would be able to get benefit from, because it's just, one, at the time at least, I didn't have that much knowledge about certain things as far as like art and comics goes, and I didn't know, like I didn't have anybody else to like banter off with, like talk, so it was kind of like me just having a one-sided conversation, kind of like these streams. But obviously I have people in the chat, and then I could just, I'm drawing too. So it's like I'm kind of what's the word? Like keeping myself busy, even if there's nobody talking, right? But with those videos, I just didn't think it was the type of content that I was working in. I used to watch a lot of like video essays, and I still do. And I just like, I kind of like this. This is this type of content. One is gives me the free way to have a schedule where I don't have to drop every day. Like, if I was like, oh, I'm gonna do podcast, you have to at least do weekly. And I don't know if I have the time to do a weekly podcast, nor if I want to dedicate that much time to doing something like that. Same thing with doing like daily videos, like the Cartoons Kayfabe guys were doing. Like, I don't want to dedicate a whole like draw, edit like 10 videos a week in order to drop daily. Like, I don't want to do that. I don't, again, this goes back between me fighting between being a YouTuber and between being a cartoonist. Whereas like I want to be a cartoonist, I want to be a comic book artist. So, and the competency part comes in where I was able to figure out what worked and continue to innovate on that process of the type of content that works for me. I realized, okay, this content doesn't work for me. This content, I'm gonna continue doing that. And I also looked at what other people in that space were doing and seeing, like, even just the idea of me going on YouTube and using YouTube and how to use it is was a calculated decision, in order to me to build a fan base, for me to get eyes on what I was doing. Right, a lot of people, for some reason, have a hard time understanding social media and how to use it to the benefit. Right, I don't know why. I don't know what the issue is. I feel like a lot of people give social media too much credit, as far as just being like just like super evil, crazy thing. Right, social media sucks. It has a lot of shitty things on it, but it doesn't control me. It doesn't control my thought process. I'm able to compartmentalize things that I see on it that is real, is fake, and whatever. But a lot of people, they have a hard time, they get burnt out, or it kind of, ruins their mindset of what success kind of looks like and things like that. But the competency part kind of comes in where, again, I saw instantly, like, even with like from making my art Instagram to making this channel, I knew I was like, okay, I'm gonna do all this stuff in order to get people to check out my stuff, right? And then I saw what other people were doing, and then I like essentially just kind of like, I wouldn't say stole it, but I kind of just stole, yeah, essentially just kind of like took their blueprint and then made it work for me, and then I'm continually doing that. That's like, I'm not just stuck doing it like right now, like even like right here, right. Here's like a game. Here's some game, like doing these live streams, right? I can do these live streams, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm going to clip them up, and then I could drop 3 videos off of one live stream instead of me having to. And people are doing this all the time, right? You see streamers like Kaisenet, ISO Speed, whoever the fuck else. They do this. They clip it up and make a whole different segment and make these into videos, right? People do these with podcasts and stuff, and that's how you kind of double up and triple up on your content. And I'm gonna do this with this, like these live streams, right? I'm gonna be able to this live stream, 2 hours. I'll be able to make at least 3 or 4 videos off of this one live stream, and then I won't have to live stream again for another month, right? And then my second channel is good for content for the month because I have 4 videos that I could drop a week. And and that's something that I've seen people do, and I was like, oh wait, I can do that for myself. So now I can keep my second channel with content coming out, and I won't have to worry about having to keep up with it on a weekly or daily basis, right? So I won't have to really fuck with this channel again until the end of January, right? And so on and so forth. And that's something that I've clocked and I saw other people doing. I was like, all right, I'm gonna do that with myself and with this content, with this channel. Because obviously this channel, my second channel, is like my BS channel, kind of like my shit post channel, quote unquote. Where I essentially was like, I'm gonna use this as a channel where I can do these live streams. I can do, videos about things that aren't, video essays or like super in depth. But yeah, like, and then I'm gonna just mess around and see what, I do, for a channel that only has 200 subscribers. I do pretty well as far as like drawing in a bigger audience. Like my last video I did on, right, I did a read through of AWOL. I got I think about 700 views, and that's pretty good for a small channel, right? And It's something I've just been looking at, seeing other people do, like other bigger content creators that I follow. I started doing, just, you know, again, back to the competency is like seeing what other people are doing and kind of implementing it myself. This works in all different facets and aspects of life, and a mantra that I've always lived by and lived behind is, um, smart people learn from their mistakes, wise people learn from the mistakes of others. And that's something I've done my whole life, right? I've seen what other people do it and kind of figured out how I can do it better. Other people, I heard it another way is like the second mouse gets the cheese, right? Like the second lab mouse gets the cheese. That's something I think I heard that on a show or something like that. I was like, oh wow, that's like essentially the same thing that I say in my that's something I've always lived by, and that's something that I would say all the time. So I was like, oh, that's really cool. Like, that's another interpretation of that phrase that I've never heard before. So I thought that was pretty cool. But yeah, like, and I don't think I'm like special or do anything crazy. I just think that, obviously people, maybe don't think like the way I do, or just, whatever. I think anybody can do it. That's why I don't like I would rather just tell everybody, what I'm doing, how I do it, because I think I would love to see other people who are, are comic book artists, or just people who want to be, content creators, and see how they do it. Because then if you're doing it a different way, I can look at how you're doing it, and then all right, I'm like, boom, all right, how did he do this? All right, how is he able to draw, or not draw, like become successful in this manner, right? Like a big thing I do a lot of times, I look at other people's thumbnails, and I will essentially kind of sometimes mimic like the way they do their thumbnails, the stylizations and stuff. Like, and these are thumbnails from channels that aren't even comic book related, like hip hop channels, basketball channels, things like that. They have, they do really good thumbnails. So I'm like, okay, what did he do in this thumbnail that kind of caught my eye? How can I implement that on my thumbnails to get people to come watch my videos? Even like sometimes I'll see videos who have done topics similar to mine. I'm like, damn, like that he did this thumbnail, like this thumbnail to me doesn't look better than my thumbnail. But what was it that made people want to click on this? Like, and these are things I think about all the time. And the same thing with comics. Like, I look at covers. I'm like, okay, how does this cover get people, like, what about this comic in the cover drew me in? Or what about this comic did this, da da da? And and this is something I just do all the time. I'm constantly thinking and looking at other people do things and how they've been able to be successful in a space that I haven't been able to, and how I can incorporate that into what I'm doing. It's something I just think about all the time. Maybe I'm like a little weird about, about it, too hyper focused on it. But even with the Kickstarter, like, right, from like with this new Kickstarter that I'm about to launch, I'm gonna implement all the lessons I learned from the first one, right? Like, yeah, I kind of told myself I wasn't really gonna hype or like do too much press with like the pre-launch page. Like I did that a lot with the first one, and I think that it kind of was a mute thing, because a lot of people that backed the campaign were people who weren't even part of the pre-launch. Like I had a bunch of pre-launch signups, and a lot of them didn't even back the campaign. And so I was like, well, I just wasted my time doing it, because essentially it's like it's better for me to hype up the campaign when it's live than the pre-launch page, because it's kind of like essentially advertising a store that isn't open. So I'd rather just advertise when the store is open, And that's something I had to learn from doing the last Kickstarter, because I wasted a lot of energy and time doing that when I could have just waited and used the energy when it was live. Another thing I'm not going to do is try to hit people up to do interviews, because I felt like I one a lot of people just were not trying to do it, and that kind of bothered me a little bit. And two, even that was just kind of like, I don't even know if any of the ones that I did do, shout out to all the people who did bring me on their channels and other platforms and stuff like that. I really, really, really appreciate all those people who did that. But I don't even know if any of that converted. I don't know. So it's like, and plus, I didn't build my YouTube channel stuff to like try to hop on other people's stuff. Like, no shade to them or any of those people, but I didn't, like, I made my channel so I didn't have to rely on other people to hit me back on for interviews and stuff like that. Like I just thought it was, I kind of just thought it would just be like a nice thing to do, just have conversations with people and stuff like that. And that's why I tried to do the interviews on this channel, to kind of circumvent those issues that I kind of ran into, but you know, I kind of ran out of steam doing interviews. I'm still gonna try to get back into doing interviews for people, but probably in like the later, sometime in the near future when I have more energy, and I'll probably do like interviews very sparsely, where I was trying to do them weekly, and I was like, oh, I think that's kind of like a no go for me, man. Because again, I just don't want to take too much time away from making comics, and then I feel like I'm getting into like a good groove of like how I want to draw and write and stuff. But yeah, I think I might be rambling on just a bit. You see, I think I'm gonna just slap a bunch of screen tone back here, and then I'll call it a night. So let me go grab some tones really quick. But this is it so far. I did the backgrounds on Procreate digitally, and I just printed it out in black because I just didn't want to. I didn't want to. I didn't want to get the ruler out and try to do all that stuff because I was like, yeah, fuck this. This is just a pinup piece for a comic, a superhero comic that I'm gonna be putting out next year. So it's exclusive, stream exclusive. But all right, let me go grab that screen tone really quickly, and then I'm gonna slap that down. Get all my stuff down here. Get all my. Shit. I have like a bunch of screen tones, and I'm like trying to figure out what's it called? Sorry. Trying to figure out how to like just use them as much as I can. I have like 60 tones, screen tone sheets I got from my boy Brian. He went to Japan last year and bought us he bought me a bunch of screen tones, and I only use them pretty much when I do like pinups and stuff, and then usually I just tone digitally on Procreate when I do screen tone pages and shit. But screen toning just takes fucking forever, man. So like I don't like when I see people who use screen tone like a lot, like when I seen like I don't know how many mangaka use screen tones traditionally nowadays, but I back then, when I saw like the people had like full pages of tones, I'm just like, how in the fuck, like how did you manage to do that and make like there's a guy I follow on Instagram, and he does like content where he does tones, and I'm just like, dude, how in the fuck? Like he does it like he's like really smooth with his like he does like these like the videos where he like shows him cutting up the tones and all that stuff, and I'm just like, how the fuck? How in the fuck did he do that? Let me see if I have like some sheets that I already kind of use, so I kind of figure out how to like finesse it on there. This works. Let me cut this down. This blade is so fucking dull too, man. I'm like, how the fuck? I think it's a new blade on there, so I'm like, I don't know what the fuck is going on, but whatever. I don't have to be super pretty with it. I'm just trying to cut it out so I can put it on. But yeah, screen tones are fun though. It definitely adds like a cool dynamic to the page. But fuck. Yeah, I don't envy. I'm so glad I don't have to do this. Like, I wouldn't do this shit for a fucking full comic page. That would add so much time to like drawing a page if I had to do this. Like, if I had to do my gray tones like this. Like again, I'm like I don't know how the fuck. Come on, get up. There we go. Sweet. All right. I like it when I see like certain artists, they will like there's a like Riley Rosmos, I think his name is. Um he did the Moon is Following Us artwork. He like does like he will do like random zipatones on his page. Like he would just implement random zipatones everywhere. And I think that's really interesting how he does that. I always wonder how do you figure out where you're gonna lay them out? Like just put the random like sometimes it's just like obviously if there's like foreground on the page or like to like differentiate the foreground, the background, I can see it, but like he would just sometimes you would just see like random zip tone, or at least to me, it just seems very random. I'm like, oh, what did you? What's the thought process behind it? James Heron does it a lot too. He will like lay out zips in like random spots on his pages, like Ultra Mega or like whatever. And I always find that again like really interesting. It's like the intention isn't like there's no made no sense. Respect for your analog or I keep it digital. Yeah, I do a thing I call it trud digital where I kind of this part is so dull, man. Where I kind of do so like I need to get a better blade. Anyways, so where I do my blue lines and my thumbnails, all that shit digitally, and then I'll print it out and then I'll do it ink it traditionally because I can kind of get like a better feel, you know, when I do it traditionally. Just and I just wanted to like I think, you know, getting back into working traditionally kind of helped me elevate my craftsmanship just a bit because I feel it kind of forced me to learn different techniques and like what tools work for me and you know stuff like that and how to finesse it. Obviously, like again, I don't do everything. At least you know, my comic pages all digital like traditionally. Like I don't I've done it before. One of my comics tit for tat, I did everything all traditionally. Like I did the pencils, thumbnails, all that shit all on paper. But for me, is like for time's sake, I want to be able to do all that stuff really quickly. Like even if I think about that sometimes with AWOL, like man, if I didn't do like the printout page and blue line inking process, I would have got it probably done way sooner. But I just wanted to, you know, do that process. I wanted to have, you know, pages I could look at and show off and, you know, potentially sell if people were that interested in buying the pages. And then also just to have them, like I just to show off like that, like a stack of pages, like oh man, like all this stuff that I drew this year, like it's pretty cool. But I don't like I've going back to doing traditional. I think has definitely helped me like level up my skills and stuff. But there's nothing wrong with digital though. I'm a fan. I mean I got back into drawing originally doing digital. I use Procreate. I'm a huge Procreate person. I love it. I wanted to get into Clip Studio Paint, but I didn't want to pay for a subscription. And then when you buy the whole studio suite, it's only for what's it called? Like the computer, like you have to have like a Wacom or some shit like that. So and I work on iPad when I draw digitally, so fuck it. What are your opinions on conflict in YouTube art space, good or bad? If you're a person and you do art content where you just talk shit about other artists, like you YouTube like and you're just like, what the fuck's the point? Like, I don't get it. I think it's stupid. Like, I don't give a fuck about that shit. I don't like if you're not talking about something that's like really important, like things that are gonna we're all fuck. Like, if you're an artist, like, what do you fucking like? Who gives a fuck? Like, I mean, if you have an opinion on something, like somebody's like doing some like crazy weird shit, I guess you want to talk about it. Like, you know, like sometimes I'll like talk shit about like Comics Gate and shit like that on some of my videos and stuff, but like more like a tongue-in-cheek type thing where I'm just kind of like poking fun at those guys because they're all fucking weirdos. Like, but I generally speaking, I think it's just like who gives a fuck? Like we're all making art. Like nobody's fucking rich. Like nobody's benefiting off anybody else stuff. Even like when people like trip on like AI and stuff, I'm just like, I don't give a fuck about that shit. I don't give a fuck about no guy. Care about no AI. Like I care now about AI that I realize that it's destroying the environment. Like the amount of water that has to be used to produce fucking stupid videos of people doing dumbass shit like Tupac at a Michael Jackson concert. Like that's dumb. Like I'm like, why are we like AI supposed to be this innovative thing and we're using it to make memes? Like that's crazy. But as far as conflict, YouTube beef as an artist is just like okay, whatever. Like I guess like this fight on who is gonna be like the quickest starving artist. Like what are we doing? You know, like if we look at the comic book space, like there's not many comic book artists on YouTube who are like going like if you're like a comic book artist and you're like a consistent YouTuber, you're not a comic book artist. Like I can say that even for myself. It's like yeah, I make comics, but like if I was published like Marvel and DC, I wouldn't be able to be consistent on YouTube because you're fucking working. Like that takes a lot of time to be like on deadline. So like you know, like even like good examples like Danny Warren Johnson. He used to live stream every Friday, and he used to do like long ass live streams. But now he's super popular. He's super busy. He doesn't do that anymore. Like if you're like a really like working artist, you're not gonna be able to have time to do that because you're gonna be deadlines, scripts, pages, thumbnails. I gotta send this to the editor. I gotta do this. I gotta get this covered to this company. I gotta do this. I gotta do this. I gotta do that. Like. So if you're just like online, if you're online beefing in general, and you're not like a popular person doing it, like if you're not like a fucking, I don't know, like a DJ guy, DJ Academics or Candace Owens, like one of these people who literally get paid off of going online to talk shit and like give out crazy opinions, and you're just doing it, and you're like only getting I don't know a couple hundred views, and you're getting you're not like let's keep it combos like you were a person who goes online and you're talking shit about people and then you're not really selling out or like doing anything like getting any real monetary gain. What are you doing it for? That's kind of my mindset. It's like you're just wasting time and energy. But whatever. I'm not tripping. Like I don't know. And I don't care for drama content. Like it's just ridiculous. I don't care. Definitely not gonna be online arguing about nobody, ignoring people. Like again, I'm a grown ass man. I don't give a shit. And I don't even like the type of content I consume online is all like I don't even watch a lot of comic book content, to be honest, or manga or any of that stuff. I watch like basketball stuff and I watch like kind of like political stuff. I used to watch rap stuff, but I think the online rap space is kind of just full of just people who don't give a fuck about rap, to be honest. Just people who just kind of see rap as like this space to like again, like DJ Academics, DJ Vlad, like these guys who are like in hip hop space but don't actually give a fuck about hip hop. So I just listen to the music. I don't I used to watch like No Jumper and stuff a lot. I don't fucking with No Jumper anymore. I don't watch none of that shit no more. Like literally all my stuff, if you look at my algorithm, is like video essays about like random things and then like random political things. And then NBA content. Like I don't watch art people online talking about the art space, or I don't watch tutorials. I watch some live streams like of artists. Like sometimes I watch like the Ink Pulp guys. They'll do their live streams when they have people on there. I'm kind of they're for the most part they're all right. I don't really watch their podcasts because the podcast isn't very good, but the live stream when they have like guests on there is pretty good because I love learning about like new artists and seeing them do stuff. Like I found out about Wes Craig because he was on there, and I started checking him out after that. Brendan Graham, other guys like that. But they've had a lot of great artists on there, so I've always enjoyed that. But Danny Warren Johnson, I'll watch his live streams when I can. He gets a little boring at times because he doesn't really talk very much. But I just love I like watching him draw and stuff. And then when he does talk, I like some of the stuff he says. But yeah, my algorithm is essentially like at this point NBA stuff. It's the NBA season. I'm a Spurs fan, and my Spurs right now are fucking killing it this year. So I've been really hyped about that. I'm actually going to the game when they come out to Charlotte this year. So in January. So I'm gonna go to that game. I just bought the tickets a couple months ago, or a couple weeks ago. So I'm pretty hyped about that. How many conventions did you do this year? I did I think 4 conventions, maybe 4 or 5. I kept it pretty slim because I just wanted to get my feet wet and I didn't want to like pay for like expensive conventions. I went to like yes, I did there's the one in Virginia Beach. That one was like a trading show. One I did that earlier this year. I think I did like in February. That was really fun. That was my very first one. Really cheap. It was like $40 to get the table. I made my money back, but I didn't really do like crazy sales. I probably, and then I did one up in Richmond, Virginia. That's where I got those books from the Rotograph books, the pink and blue ones that I showed off earlier in the stream. And that was a cool show. It was like in a bar. I made $100, something like that. I did every single show so far this year. I've made my money back, which is pretty cool. And then every single show I left trying to learn something new. So like it was kind of like marketing. Like, okay, what kind of what books did I have that sold well? What are people drawn to? That's where I kind of what I try to do every time I went to a show. Like, okay, who's selling the most of the show and why? Okay, what do they got going on? Okay, what books did I leave with the most, and what books got sold the most, and things like that. And then I did my biggest show was Mid-Atlantic was not Mid-Atlantic. I don't know why I keep calling it that, but it's Atlantic Comic Con in Norfolk, Virginia. It is a newer show. It's a Black-owned show. It was my best show this year. I made like $200-$300 there. It's a really good show. I sold out a lot of stuff there. That's the show that I was kind of aiming for because I went to it the year prior last year when this first year, and I had a good time. Like just like seeing it was pretty good. So being a tabling there was really good. And then I did one small show maybe like in October. It was like a last minute thing. I just did it. It was a slow show. It's really good. It's out here again in Virginia. I'm starting to realize I need to diversify my areas because I essentially kept seeing the same people at the same shows. So like essentially I wasn't gonna make many sales because people already either saw me in this show and didn't buy my stuff, so it wasn't like they were gonna change their mind at a different show, or they already bought the books that I had and they weren't gonna again like buy them again. So but and I went to Heroes Con and just kind of went there and hung out. I knew people that were going to be there, so I went and just met all the homies that knew were going to be there and just talked to them and just fucked with them. Pretty much is what I did. I'm not gonna do that. Whatever. So lay down the gray tones on him, and I'm just gonna slap all the other tones on the buildings. Do you keep doing? You keep doing indie, or one day going for publisher? Probably I'll just do both, honestly. If I feel like I have a project that I want to push to a mainstream publisher to get like a oomph, I would do that. I don't think like I would do like I don't think I'm like when I think of like a publisher, I don't think of like Marvel and DC. Like I would have like maybe I can go do the book to be like Pantheon or Abram Comics or First Second Comics or Fantagraphics, like things like that. That's kind of where I'm shooting for. Like I want to do books for those companies. I think those would be something that would be more in my wheelhouse. But before I can do that, I think I have to just keep working. I want to keep building my name as a comic book artist, keep just getting more and more stuff under my belt, like projects and comics and things. And then if I do that, you know, people, I think a big thing a lot of people don't take into account is that being like a person who can prove and show that they can make a comic in a reasonable time uh will get people to come and knock on your door, right? Like um I don't know if like being a great artist always, you know, is helpful, you know, like I don't think anybody's gonna be like, oh, you know, he's a good artist, and you know, like that helps all the time, like using people. But if you're like an okay artist or like a good enough artist, and you also are able to show that you can fucking get a book done in a good time, then people are gonna hit you up, you know, like to do stuff. So, you know, but I think I'm gonna just keep continue on and to do stuff, and then when I find the idea I come across that I feel like is worth me pitching, you know, I think all my ideas are awesome, but like some things I know are like might be a hard sell. Like AWOL is a indie manga type book, right? It's a Takusatsu, Power Rangers, Ultraman, Ultra Mega, Common Rider type book. I don't think it's something that I could pitch to a publisher right now that I think that that'll work. But if say I have already 3 or 4 volumes worth of it, maybe I can find a publisher who will help me distribute it, or you know, things like that. And then also if I can prove, oh, people are buying this book and reading it, like, you know, on Kickstarter, like, oh, I'm doing, you know, say I can do Kickstarter for 10K once, and then I can show that to a publisher, and they're like, oh, well, so that did well. Maybe we can buy stock of the book, and then we will distribute it for him, and you know, stuff like that. There's a lot of different scenarios that I run through my head on like what I kind of want to happen. It's just all in time. You know, I'm only 27, so I think I have more than enough time to figure out, you know, one, to get better as an artist, two, to figure out what is going to work and what route works for best for me. Like, luckily, maybe, you know, I can my YouTube continues to do well up to the point where I don't have to go to any publisher, and I can just continue crowdfunding my creative endeavors and not have to worry about doing any of that stuff, right? I can just work on a book for like a year, and then maybe do a Kickstarter, and then give it to a publisher, right? Kickstarter independently. Andrew McLean just did that with his book. It's called Battle something. I don't know, but I just bought it. But it's a really cool book. It's like a fight comic. And he just did that where he did a Kickstarter for it earlier this year. The Kickstarter did really well, and then now he's getting it published through Image. Like he's it was a graphic novel he did, and he again he got it done. I don't know how much he did on Kickstarter. Did pretty well, probably couple $1,000, probably, you know, probably 10K plus, it seems like. And then damn, how the fuck am I gonna do this? I never did screen printing. And then he got it through Image, and he's gonna have them distribute the single floppies to the comic book shops of the book that's already been done for 2 years, right? Like that. There's like so many different ways you can go about it, and that's kind of like I'm just trying to see what the landscape is looking like for me, and again, only time is gonna tell just like how many books are gonna work, and I don't know what book is gonna do well. Like this next book I'm gonna do is gonna be a superhero comic, so I'm thinking, okay, maybe this might be something people might be drawn more to. Maybe this will work better as a webcomic. Maybe this will work better as just a Kickstarter book. Maybe I can pitch this to a publisher and they'll pick it up. It's a lot of different factors that I'm having to think about, but you know, it's a good problem because I mean, at the end of the day, I'm one thing I know for sure is I'm always gonna want to write and draw my own stuff, so I don't ever have to worry or rely on anybody else. As long as I continue to keep being better as an artist, I won't have to worry about, like, as long as I don't stop drawing and just like, you know, do what's it called, straight up just writing, you know, because if you do that, then I'm handicap myself completely because then I have to look for an artist and stuff, and da 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 da, and it's gonna be a whole fiasco, right? So as long as just consistency kills, right? Making comics is a marathon, it's not a fucking sprint. You know, if you um consistently are putting stuff out, something's gonna hit, and or somebody's gonna see you and they're like, oh well, he's he's able to make stuff really, really quickly. He's very consistent. He's a pretty good artist. He might not be the greatest, but he's pretty good. And you might fuck around and get published that way. There's so many different avenues that when it comes to quote unquote breaking the comics. Well, whereas like I'm not even thinking about a Marvel or a DC at all. Like I'm thinking about how do I get a book into the library? How do I get a book into schools, like elementary schools? How do I get a book published and through a book fair? Like how can I get that Scholastic money or stuff like that? That's what I've been thinking about. Like I don't want to like even with AWOL, I'm it's gonna be published through the first couple chapters are going to be published through a magazine that me and the homies are doing, and we're going to put it online, and then we're going to try to distribute it through, various means and stuff like that. Like, if you treat your comics like not just as only as art, but also as like kind of like content, and where you like again like the Andrew McLean example, you fucking double up, triple up on how you get the book out to as many people. It will it's gonna help in the long run. So that's just my thoughts. Because like I mean, I remember listening to this interview from Kyle Baker, who was like a legendary comic artist, and he was just like, you got to find your niche of what kind of books you want to do, and he does a lot of history books. That's like his like he did Plastic Man and stuff like that. That's like some of his more popular like comic book like mainstream comic book stuff. Like he did like one of the best Plastic Man runs. Really cartoony guy. He's worked for like Warner Brothers and animation big time for like a long time. But also he was like, he did like a lot of history books, right? Like books on like David, like the story of David and Goliath. He did a comic book on that. He did a book on Nat Turner. Just a bunch of those types of books, and those are the books that are going to get in the libraries. Those are the books that are going to give you like paid, right? Like you're going to get paid fairly often. He did a lot of like crime noir books back in the day that he drew and wrote, and he's again like he got them published to I think I don't remember Image or fucking I don't remember, but he owns the rights to this book. So even if they're out of print and Image, he uses a he's talking about he found a printer that does print on demand. So every time everybody buys a book on his website, he doesn't own stock of the book. They just get it straight from whatever printer, So to answer the question, I guess I'm gonna try to do either or whatever works whatever is working at the time is what I'm gonna do. So if doing indie, right now I'm indie, right? I don't really have any suitors. I don't have people like hitting me up to like, oh, can you work on this project for me? Or, oh, we would really love to publish your book or whatever. Like if that happens, fuck it. You know what I'm saying? We'll see. We'll figure it out. If the paperwork looks good and I'm not like they're not trying to own my shit or try to uh, fuck me over, then I'm game to try something new. Try get the experience to see what happens. But there's pros and cons to all these things. But I mean, and then at the end of the day, I'm not like super in it for the money. I'm just want to make dope projects. Also, I don't know. What do you guys? How are you guys feeling as far as like anybody who's in the chat as an artist? Like, what are your guys' goals for your comic book career? Like, what do you guys see yourself in doing? And what do you guys? How are you guys trying to get to that point? Also, is another thing. Kind of got it. Shit, this is way harder. Looks. I'm throwing through the money like a gold juice. I'm freaking on the French street. C'est la vie. This. Oh my god. Holy shit. Oh. Yeah. I don't know if this is gonna work. Sell a bunch, make money. Self-publish, get published to business kickback. That's what's up, Swan. You got a book already out, Swan story? You got something you already got worked up, cooked up? Son of a bitch. 2 books. Dang, that's tough. That's tough. They're comic books or they're like something else or that's dope, man. I like that. I like to hear that. That's dope. 2 books is dope. Boys are working. Some bitch, man. This shit ain't gonna fit, man. You see, man, let's hear this. It'll be a little easier. Okay. Dang, that's what's up, man. I think I might have seen your channel before, dude. You post like interviews and stuff. I think I've seen your channel before. Do you post it online or you have it like ready for print and stuff? All right, fuck it. That shit weird. It ain't perfect, but it works. Digital online at Amazon. So, what conventions have you done? And do you do the what's it called, the KDP or whatever, the Kindle Direct Publishing? How's that been for you? I know one of the person who's used that so far. I never really. I have my own website, so I don't really like use the Amazon thing. I guess it would be probably beneficial. Yep. Dang, that's dope, man. That is a good deal though. Doing the Kindle thing. The print on demand is just good in general. Like I think if you're not a person who has space for a bunch of stock or you're not trying to do a bunch of shows, you do that. Because I think Mixum does it as well. That's some people though, you can like upload the file and then you can just send people the link and they can just order the books. I don't know what the cut splits are for that, but I've seen people do that also, like do the print on demand stuff. That is a very good a good way to get people, especially royalties are low, but it's whatever. Yeah, I feel that. At least it's like available for people to check it out, you know, like and it's like for some reason I don't know why, but people are very uncomfortable going and buying books off of like people's websites. They would rather, you know, use Amazon or whatever, which I mean I understand because Amazon's been around for, you know, last over 20 years or whatever, and it's built all this cachet as like being this like great place to buy stuff. You know, Amazon's a fucking shit company, but whatever. That's dope though that you utilize that platform. Yeah, I know. I think Young Wavy, he uses that. So more power to you. I do well right now. What I was doing before I did the Kickstarter, I would just print my own books off of Mixum and then I would just sell them on my website. And then but I was like, you know, let me do the Kickstarter and see if I can just get the money for the books without having to lose money off of them. And I would just do like small print runs, like 20 books, 50 books, something like that. For like all the comics that I was putting out at the time. Like and they would sell, you know, fill out, but same thing with you is like the profit margin was very, very small. It was just like like $10, some shit like that, after I got all the books like sold. Which, you know, it's not that big of a deal, especially like, again, like I'm still starting out, like relatively speaking, as far as just like getting my books out there, getting books printed. That was the thing that it took me a minute to kind of work up the nerve to, like, oh, let me actually do a print run or something to see if people actually will buy this stuff. And then this year was my first year actually doing shows, so even that was a whole different experience. So just slowly working my way into the space and see where I will fit. And doing shows has been pretty easy for the most part. Like, I'm not like this most social person, but it's definitely like I can get a sale. YouTube. YouTube, I think, has definitely helped a lot. Like it's just, as far as just people just knowing who I am. And with, like, I've gotten, people who buy my books, from YouTube, because they like my YouTube channel and stuff. They like what I do. And even that, like I said earlier in the stream, I'm monetized on my first channel. So, like, essentially all the money I make off that is essentially I just put back into, like, that's just pretty much like my creator fund, essentially. Like, all the money, like if I make a good amount of money on there, I can just use that money, my AdSense, to pay for a print run, or pay for me to go to a show, or pay for equipment like the microphone that I'm talking on. This right here, I used my Google AdSense money to pay for the camera, the webcam that I'm using right now, this new webcam that I have. I used my Google AdSense money. So it goes to good space, and even, it pays for it pays for, like, my my art supplies, things like that. So even if like it doesn't directly help me sell books, which it has. Like, I've gotten people who've bought my books because of some of my videos I put out, like, but it's not like super consistent. Again, I think it just kind of goes back to just having the right product for the right audience of people. So it's just something I just have to work on. Like, okay, what do people want to read? What do people like? And even just getting better at just my skill of making art and comics. That's just something I just feel like I gotta just do to make it things that people want to check out. But yeah, if it's been good though. YouTube has been awesome. It's been, I'm lucky that I've been able to do, relatively well in this space. So and it's only been really like 2 years. As long as I can stay consistent on it, eventually I think I'll get to a point where I'll have a project and a book that people are like, oh, everybody's gonna want to pick it up, everybody's gonna want to read it, and I'll have like the Corey Kenshin effect, where I can drop a manga or a comic or whatever, and it does really, really well. Hopefully, and I can do that. I just gotta keep, again, like, working on something that people actually want to read. That's a big thing. Like, knowing, who are my audience, and what do they want to read, and then to just having that the skills, for what people want to check out. But I think any like, if you're able to cultivate an audience outside of like from a social media platform, you should be able to it should be able to convert. I don't know, like, YouTube to me has always seems like the best space. For like artists, and just for like people, for fandoms in general, if like people can get a good grasp and understanding of who you are if you use YouTube. That's just me. But I know people use TikTok. I couldn't get into TikTok. Instagram is only works if you're doing fan art, in my opinion. Like, if you're not doing like fan art of Batman, Spider-Man, Naruto, Dragon Ball Z, you're not, like, nobody's gonna pay attention to your channel, your page. Like, that's just my opinion. Like, you'll get more likes on a page, like a drawing or whatever, of a fan art, than you will of like your own original stuff. So, and now you gotta do the reels and shit too, and it's like, fuck all that. I'm not doing that shit. Like, again, this is TikTok. I'm not, like, I'll make reels here and there, but that's very sparse, and very low return on investment. Like you can do a reel and it might not. You might do like a couple thousand views and it might not give you shit else. Like you just get views and then people might not even go and buy whatever you're pushing or whatever. So I kind of find it to be very redundant. But most of those platforms, like all the meta stuff, essentially is like pay to play anyways. Like they want you to pay to get like like to get people to watch your shit. Essentially, if you pay for like Google ads, then they'll push your stuff because obviously you're paying for it. But if you're not paying for it, you're not gonna get any like real. You're not gonna get shit out of it. And it's, I mean, and Google ads aren't like super expensive, but if to me it just seems pointless. Like I'm not, like I don't know, I'm not gonna do that. So I would say like Swan, if you're making stuff on YouTube, I would say just continue to do that. But like I was saying earlier, you got to figure out, okay, like what kind of content, what type of content is working. To like what kind of content do I consume that's like popular, and like why do you get thinking like, okay, why do I watch this shit? Like what makes you want to watch it? Is it the thumbnails? Is it the people and what they're talking about? Is it, you know, the context? Is like what is it? And then you have to just essentially mimic it, because the internet there ain't nothing original on the internet. I'll tell you that. There is nothing from social media. Everything is copy and paste, trends, which essentially is a trend is literally just a popular thing that everybody's doing. So if you're like, you know, find something and just, you know, make it your own. I don't know what kind of stuff you do, but if you do create content, but I would say that was essentially what I've been doing. But yeah, I've definitely gotten sales, or I've gotten people who fuck on my stuff from my YouTube channel though. Yeah, I basically came online. Yeah, I think conventions are definitely work best for me as well. I think I've sold most of my stuff IRL, and on Kickstarter I did it like I sold a lot of, like, even though like the number of people on my back my campaign is not a large number, but the amount of books that a lot of people got were like, it was pretty good. Like they would, you know, like because I have a lot of comics, so I had a lot of add-ons, a lot of you know, other books that people could, you know, that weren't just the AWOL on there, because I made a lot of comics. So yeah, but what shows have you done? Like, what was your best show that you did this year, or you know, since you've been making comics? Because I think I want to try to do bigger shows, but I need to have like, I want to have things that are worth taking there, like not just floppies. Like that's why I like when I have the AWOL trade, that would be a good thing to have a show, because the cover I think is very eye popping that I did for it. It's a bigger book, like it's not a floppy, it's actual like trade, like 100 something pages. So I think people will be more inclined to want to buy a graphic novel or a trade than they will a floppy, you know. I think if I can get the Kickstarter the way I think I can price it pretty reasonably. Anime NYC, Komita. You did Komita in Japan, and how are the anime? How did all the shows go for you? Yeah, I haven't done the biggest show. Is literally was for me was Atlantic Comic Con. And that one is like, again, is a newer show. It's not really popular at all. It's about to be in its third year coming up. And I mean, it's pretty good for what it was worth. But I feel like it's going to move more towards pop culture than it is going to be comic books, which I mean, I'm not mad about. But like, I don't like, if it does that, then I might have to stop doing it, because I don't want to lose money paying for something that's not going to go. Damn, you did it in Japan. That's sick, man. Yeah, I want to go to that. I want to go to that one, and I want to go to Comic Cat just to see kind of like how all that, what it looks like, and all the doujin and shit like that. I would love to see that. That's cool though. Was it a lot? It was a lot of people there. Komita, I imagine, is probably like a packed show. Did you do pretty well? Are you located in Japan? Or you're in Cali? It seems like he said you did like San Fran or. If you don't mind me asking. About to say fuck the back. I'm going to Cali. Dang, that's what's up. Yeah, I used to live in San Diego a couple years ago. I didn't do any of the shows though, but dang, that's dope, man. Comic Cat. That's what's up, man. Comida. Yeah, there's pretty good shows out here in the East Coast, I think. There's pretty good shows. Like all of them, like you know, you can do NYC. Probably like I want books and talk to. Oh, were you able to get like any conversations with some editors while you were out there, like the editors in Japan? You didn't go, you weren't tabling there. You were there just to show you some of your work, essentially. Well, no, I can just cut that out. Fucking tool. I need to get a new fucking what's it called? Oh damn! How did those conversations go with the editors? That's what's up, man. I want to go to Japan. That's a goal. Hopefully the next. That's a goal within the next 5 years. I want to be able to go to Japan and go to, even if I don't go to a show, just go and maybe go to Shibuya and just like experience the stuff out there. But yeah, I'm definitely trying to table at like bigger shows eventually. But I would wanna I want to just have more books to sell and more things that people I feel like would be interested in. You know, and then again, build up the YouTube channel a little bit. Hopefully get some, what's the word? Like cachet, or not cachet, but like get 4 business cards thing. That's what's up, man. That's dope, man. That you're at least able to get that far. I feel like I can just I think do I want to cut all this out? It's gonna be such a bitch. Nah, fuck that. It's already late anyways. We gotta do it later. Maybe I could just put that in the I'm trying to think how I want to do this. I don't know. I feel like if I just do that side, it's gonna look weird because it's gonna be white. Yeah, fuck it. That's look cool. Yeah, business coach. Yeah, that's what's up, man. Yeah, I want to do bigger shows. I want to do more stuff, but I think I'm just gonna continue right now, like building the YouTube channel, building up my bibliography of the books that I have, and as long as I can continue to show like success as far as just like boom, kickstart every single, not every book, but Kickstarter like all my trades at least, or like all my stuff, and diversify the where I can get my books out to people, whether I do it online, through your shows, go to do as many shows as I can, maybe find a publisher that will be willing to distribute my books and promote them for me and stuff like that. Continue again to build up the YouTube channel to the point where I have a lot of subscribers and people who fuck with me that are like, oh, COVID just dropped a book. Let's go pick it up, or let's go, that's kind of like what I want. That's kind of like the ultimate goal, like to where I don't even have to use Kickstarter, where I can just, oh, I got the pre-launch or like the pre-orders available on my website. Go to my website, whatever, and then I could just do it like that, where I don't have to worry about fucking building a Kickstarter and all that shit. Like I don't want to have to do that because they take like the money, they take their own percentage of stuff, and which is fine, I guess. But it's like I have my own website. Like I don't really need to use Kickstarter, but if I can find a publisher, that'd be cool too, just to cut some of the leg work out of like some of the stuff that I have to go through. But or maybe I can just build a team. Like I could finally get in the community with a lot of great artists and people who do design work and stuff. And if I can just keep making like the money off of YouTube, I can use that YouTube money to keep those guys employed, or not employed, but like keep like I can find a colorist that can stay consistent with me and then help me have just continue to pay him to help me color my stuff, and then boom, I can find an editor who's like a homie or whatever and have him edit my stuff, and then just things that I have a lot of ideas of things that I want to do, but it's all in due time. I'm not really rushed for anything. I don't have, as far as those type of existential like bigger long-term goals. I think it's going to figure itself out as long as I continue to fucking keep making shit, like keep building myself up on YouTube, keep proving that I can make that I can consistently drop a book like without any hiccups. Like I'm consistently making something. Like I'm not, like sometimes I'll go to like I went to a show and I saw a guy who was still promoting the same #1 issue that he made like fucking 5 years ago. I'm like, how have you not made another like the second issue to this book yet? Like you're the writer and the artist. So I'm confused on why it's taking you so long to like why are you still printing out the same book over and over and not working on the next one? I mean, obviously life happens, making comics, it takes time, but it's just like, think what the fuck is going on? Confused, but it is what it is. But yeah, so I'm just gonna consistently make stuff, and I'm sure eventually somebody will knock on the doors once I get to the point of skill level is undeniable, and it's just like, because I could see that happening. Like, oh fuck, God damn it, man. I need a better door. I need a better blade, man. These fucking blades sucks, dude. Oh. Get fucked. Yeah, I don't know how people do this shit. No, I gotta play arts and crafts with these damn screen tones. Boom. Sweet. Yeah, I'm just gonna lay this down. I'm probably gonna get off here in a second. If somebody has anything else, but let me get this shit. Fucking God bless, man. Yeah, I need to get a sharper blade. Yeah, I think it's pretty cool, man. What do y'all guys think? Pretty good, pretty good. All right, let me see. Maybe I can add a little bit of let me see. I think I have a piece right here. I can put that. Fucking. One more time. Hit my line. You gotta run the fade. Oh, yeah. All right, I'll do it. Jesus Christ. Get on there. Get off. It's on there. Boom. Fucking arts and crafts with the freaking Zipatone, dude. All right, I'm good. I'm done with this crap. All right, sweet. This cool. This cool. This cool. This cool. This cool. Let's see. All right, so this is it. Let me take this off. So Jesus fucking Christ. Sorry, tedious, but looks nice. Take it off the camera off. What's it called? Ugh, I got all this stuff around me. All right. So yeah, there it goes, guys. Screen tones. There's a little depth to it. Looks kind of cool. Added little light tones on his face. I don't know what you can see that. I think. That's right, but tones the building down there. It's a little right there. This is like a piece for a comic that I'm going to be working on in the near future. Web comic. I mean, not a web comic, but the comic that's going to be coming out next year. It's my superhero comic. It's actually a remake of an old comic that I did. So there'll be more news on that. Probably like I think I'll have it done because I'm gonna do this one all digitally, just for like time purposes and stuff. Holy crap! Oh my gosh! All right, but let me see that. Yeah. Show it again one more time for you guys. This is the piece. Oh yeah, thanks for watching, man. Thanks everybody for showing up and hanging out. I appreciate everybody who just hears me ramble on. I've been on here for 2.5 hours. Holy shit. It's pretty cool. Pretty good time. Thanks for everybody watching, everybody chatting with me, asking questions. Thanks for subscribing if you aren't subscribed yet. Don't forget to like this live stream. That always helps. Also, again, I am running a campaign for AWOL volume number 1, which is the collection of issues number 1 through 4. The pre-launch page is live right now, so go click the link in the chat. I think I dropped it off in the chat earlier. And just hit that pre-launch for me. And we'll be launching the campaign early July or January, probably like January. My goal is January 10th for it to go live. So yeah, if you guys are interested and want to, be there for the volume to come out, click the link I just dropped in the chat. Hit that notification button. That will be greatly appreciated. Again, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Thanks everybody who stopped by. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.